Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the We Are Not Lonely podcast. This is episode 54, and before I go on, I just want to touch upon this remarkable occasion because 54 is a special number. Don't be dirty-minded. It's not for that reason. See, the thing is, if an individual were to post a podcast episode every single week for an entire year, that means there will be 54 episodes. Unfortunately for me, I've been putting out videos for a little more than a year, actually. I've been doing this since January of 2022. Which means there should be a little more than that. Let's see. There should have been... Let's calculate. Going by the standard, we're almost halfway through the year, which means one episode every month. 4 episodes every single month. And we are in the 8th month. Halfway through the 8th month. So technically by the end of this month we should have been at 56 episodes, but we aren't. Unfortunately, we are only at episode 54. You kind of know the reason why this has happened in the past couple of... Some of the episodes were slightly delayed because of situations. I'm kind of taking it slow. I'm taking a break. All of that, etc. And also there was that whole thing where I had to move to... I had to move to Hyderabad for almost 3 months. And I spent about a month in Bangalore. So 4 into... That's like, yeah. Even then, I'm still not off the hook because I'm supposed to have uploaded a total of 70 episodes. But there are 70 videos on the channel, so I guess it should be fine. So it's been a while. I know. It's been a couple of weeks, actually, since we last spoke, I suppose. And the reason is I've kind of been traveling, been exhausted. I've been meaning to make this whole future log of videos, but that never seems to happen, which is really sad, all things considered. Yeah. But, so the situation is, I'm here now. I'm kind of delirious because I've been fasting pretty much most of the day. But let's see what happens. Yeah. This is the part of the podcast where I go on an unstructured rant. I think most of today is going to be an unstructured rant. I've just sat down in front of the mic with no plan, no idea, nothing. It's going to be fun. I believe it's going to be fun. So, I can't believe it's going to be almost 2 years, dude. This year has flown by. It's unbelievable. A lot of small changes over the last couple of weeks. To be fair, I have been recording a lot. I've been saying this a lot recently, but I've never been putting out anything onto the internet, which is kind of sad and also kind of suspicious. But this is the situation. To be honest, I have been caught up with a bunch of things. Alright? Maybe immediately after this I start editing the other videos so that you know that I haven't been slacking off. I don't know. We'll see. I'll plan it out. Let's just talk about what's been happening with the past couple of days. I've been sort of attempting to put my life together. Attempting to create content. It's kind of been difficult, I won't lie. I spoke about how entropy is this huge thing that's a part of life, and it always breaks down every single system, and that's particularly true for me. It just takes one little issue in my entire system and it all goes kaput. So I started this new routine. It's an old routine, but I restarted it, and I'm not going to really talk about it in this particular episode. Maybe I will once I'm done completing it. But essentially I'm in like Super Sage mode and I'm trying to accomplish a bunch of things. I'm writing a decent amount. I do my best to write down a little bit every day. I've gotten back into journaling. A lot of good habits have come, but To be fair, there is a decent amount of confusion as well. I will not lie about that bit. For example, this is whole issue with social media that I've noticed. Let me rephrase that, right? I have noticed recently that I do have a bit of an issue with social media. Like, I use Instagram quite a bit. And the reason I don't have it installed on my phone all the time is because I do end up on this really annoying death spiral, dude. I just keep swiping up and up and up, and there's so much interesting content over there. To quote my friend, you just a second, let me just the mic. So to quote my friend, there's this whole situation where you think you're done, you've probably seen everything there is to see, and then you swipe once more and you're like, ha, nope, I was wrong, there is more to see. There's a lot more to see here. There's that, and the issue is, even when I do end up deleting Instagram every once in a while, because I really don't like using Instagram except to post, right? So I do end up deleting Instagram for a very long time. I go on hiatuses every once in a while whenever I feel like it. That's also a story of how I probably lost one of my biggest crushes, but that's a story for another time. Maybe in another decade or so, when I look back on this life. There's a lot I want to talk about. Season 3 of The Witcher is up, but I'm going to savor that. I'm going to let that simmer and soak in, and then we will talk about it when the time is right. It's going to be fun. It's going to be brilliant. I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that particular episode, particularly since I did an episode about Get Woke, Go Broke. I did episode 30, which was all about the Lord of the Rings of Power, and about Witcher. I spoke about this nearly 7 months ago. Alright, I spoke about how, this is just a refresher, you can go check out that particular episode if you're still interested. I spoke about how I decided to, what do you call it? Basically, I shat on Hollywood, Netflix, and the whole destruction of IPs thing, man. It's sad they have such beautiful IPs and they mangle it in a desperate attempt to get viewership for their ideology, because that's basically what is happening around most of American media. The reason that Disney's Marvel comics, the current comics are failing so badly compared to anime, it's mostly because people don't like being lectured. They're here to be entertained, so entertain us. Here we are now. Entertain us. That's us. That's us humans. But, yeah. It's sad. There was so much possibility and they ruined it. Kind of annoyed, I won't lie. Very annoyed. So I'm just... another unstructured tangent rant. Okay, so I've just been going through my whole YouTube page, like going back all the way to the beginning, and I like seeing the evolution in the thumbnails, the difference in the thumbnails between person 1 and person 2. It's kind of pretty cool. Like the whole font, it kind of falls into place towards the end, sort of, like post episode 10, 15 or so. We sort of get the structure behind the thumbnail. I sort of fix on a structure around that time. It's kind of cool. I have 50 plus hours of content just sitting there on the internet. It's brilliant, goddamn. I still can't believe it. It's unbelievable. This is just a very unstructured rant. I'm just enjoying this. I'm kind of delirious, like I said. So let's talk about that. Why am I delirious today? Right. So there's this concept called Ekadashi. So the word Ekadasha literally translates to 11. Eka is 1 and Dasha is 10. So in Sanskrita, we refer to, like, the way we describe numbers is from, if you're reading it, we read it left to right in English. For example, if we say Sahasra, that is 1008. So I think we would say something like, yeah, for example, if we had to say 11, we would read it like 1 1, right? But in 1 plus 10, right? Or 10 plus 1, which is 11. Or we'd say 21. We wouldn't say 120. In Sanskrit, it's the opposite. It's the other way. We say 1 and then we say 20. So, Ekavimsha, Ekadasha, Ekatrimsha, some things like that. It's a different language. So the point about me talking about Ekadashi is to explain why I'm kind of delirious. I've sort of been on a fast. Now, the word fast is kind of a misnomer. I have eaten mostly fruits, a little bit of nuts, these nuts, a little bit of nuts and water. I've been drinking a lot of water. So the idea is that every 11th day of the fortnight, there are 2 fortnights. We consider them the waning moon and the waxing moon. So we call them Krishna Paksha and Shukla Paksha. When the moon is waning, we call it Krishna Paksha because it's becoming dark. And when the moon is waxing, we call it Shukla Paksha because it's becoming brighter. It's very brilliant. So in the calendar, there are these 2 fortnights, and the 11th day of every fortnight, for example, we start counting. Full moon is the full moon, we call it Paurnima, and the no moon, the dark moon, is called Amavasya. So after that particular day, we call them Tithis in Sanskrit. After that particular day, we count down, literally it's Pratipada, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Shashti, Saptami, Ashtami, Navami, Dashami, Ekadashi, Dvadashi, Trayodashi, Chaturdashi, and then we have Paurnami. So it's literally me counting down, saying this is the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, and all the way up to 14th, and then we have the full moon, which is Paurnima, or we have the no moon, the dark moon, which is Amavasya. So the 11th day, literally the 11th day is, the 11th Tithi is Ekadashi, which is considered to be sort of a very spiritual day. It occurs throughout the year, twice, pretty much almost twice every month, even if you look at it from the Western calendar, 2 to 3 times a calendar month from the Western perspective. Sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's 3, depending on how the month is spread out. There's a huge difference between the Western calendar and the Indian calendar. There's a decent amount of evidence to suggest that Pope Gregory, the one who prepared the Gregorian calendar, actually did a great deal of... He took a lot of inspiration from the Indian calendars. We have a combination of calendars in India called the Soli-Lunar calendar. We use a mixture of solar as well as lunar calendars. There's so much information I'm going to. Most of this is kind of Jyotisha related, which is Vedic astrology. All of this knowledge comes from that particular thing. But my point is essentially that Ekadashi, the 11th day of every fortnight, is a very spiritual day, and you can observe a sort of a fast or a vrata. A vrata is basically you make a decision that you will do so and so and so and so, and you try to follow through as much as you can. But that's basically what a vrata is. You make a vow that I will do so and so on this particular day for so and so days. And that's a vrata. So what happened on this particular... Each Ekadashi has some sort of a story related to it, I suppose. Today is supposed to be Parama Ekadashi or something like that. It's supposed to be one of the best Ekadashis, but the greatest Ekadashi is Vaikuntha Ekadashi, and the belief is if you pass away on that particular day, you go straight to Vaikuntha, which is the highest of heavens for a Vaishnava. That's a huge digression from the topic, but essentially that's the reason why people fast on Ekadashi. It helps you accrue spiritual wealth, which is called punyam or dharma. So I think I've spoken about this before, but I am trying to balance between working, not a full-time job, but it does take up a decent amount of my time. at least half the day between working that and this YouTube thing, as well as self improvement and all of that. And I realized that this whole thing is a brilliant way to. This is a brilliant vehicle for content, my current life, the struggles that I'm going through, etc. Right? So, I'm trying my best to. I'm trying to do my best, trying to keep this whole thing sort of recorded. I do a decent amount of journaling. I'm tracking my progress, what's happening, so on and so forth. But I do think that I need to improve my approach. Without a doubt, I've made a lot of progress, especially from that 24-year-old, 25-year-old. I think I was 25 when I completed my MBA, right? I was 24 when I completed my MBA. I was 24 when I completed my MBA, and when I had spoken to one of my astrologer guides, Vedic astrologer guides, he had actually told me that the time between 24 and 28 would be completely like confusing, sort of. 24 to 26 would be kind of confusing. I would get a grip on what I wanted to do after that. That's when the pandemic happened, which is brilliant. So immediately after I completed my MBA, I guess we're doing personal stories now. After I completed my MBA, I decided to pursue a couple of my interests, which was, things like Jyotishya, Veda chanting, Veda Parayana. I did a lot of studies in those areas, I guess you could say. I also practiced a lot martial arts. That's also the year I finally started doing martial arts. This is all 2018, 2019, 2020. I'm talking about that time, just before the pandemic hit. So, a lot of knowledge, man. It was a brilliant time in my life. I'm extremely grateful that I was able to do all of that. To be fair, I did work for all of that. And it's kind of funny that I know all of this in such great detail because I'm actually writing all of this down. So, right, I've already spoken about the first draft of the book and how I've kept it, like I've kind of shelved it. And instead, what I've started to do to ensure that my writing skills remain kind of fresh, I've been writing every single day. Well, most of the days, right? I make a decent amount of progress. I write at least 3 to 4 times every week. I do need to step that up. I do need to make myself a lot more, shall we say. I need to become a lot more consistent with my writing and write a lot more. But I do have a decent amount on my plate as it is. This whole balancing act that I'm trying to do is kind of difficult, I won't lie. Entropy is just a slip away every single moment. But I have confidence in myself. I'm not the type to give up. And I'm enjoying this whole process of trying to sort my life out together while 1,000 other things keep happening. And I'm gaining a decent amount of knowledge and sort of wising up as I go through the whole process, which is really cool. I wish all of this happened a long time before, because I'm like almost 30 and I'm still figuring life out. I sort of assumed that I would have my shit together at this point at least, because it's August of 2023, right? And I turn 30 in another couple of months. I turn 30 next year, dude. And I can see the progress I've made from a character perspective. There's been a lot of character development over the past decade, especially in the last couple of years. I've sort of become unrecognizable over the last few years. But at the same time, it's been a sort of a filtering process, more of. Like, how do I explain? This is kind of difficult. I've been figuring out the core components of my being and filtering them. I suppose this is sort of like iron being hammered again and again to make a sword. I suppose you could use that metaphor here, which is kind of apt, to be honest. I've made a great deal of progress on who I am and who I want to be, and I'm getting closer to this idea. I'm getting closer to this arbitrary ideal I had set for myself. It's been a brilliant journey, and it's interesting because I'm just about to reach that particular point in my whole, shall we say, the in my autobiography. I mean, sorry, in my, there's nothing else to call it except an autobiography. In my autobiography itself, I'm sort of reaching the point where my whole transformation really takes place, right? It was a very long transformation, dude. It started 10 years ago, 2012 June. This process began, and a lot has been filtered out. A lot of the person that I thought I was has just been removed, thrown away. It's been quite the journey. And I will eventually talk about all of this because it's quite the interesting story. But I do want to have all of my facts together. I want to have all of the details right. I want to be able to tell a beautiful story. So I've got to practice, right? Which is what I'm doing right now. Whose story do you know best if not your own? Well, Kim Dokcha would disagree. He knows another person's story better than his own. But turns out it was his own story. That's the best part. I'm not going to talk about that, but if you want to know more, go check out this manhwa called The Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. I think it's available on the Webtoon app by Naver. It's a brilliant story. Go check it out. You know what? I'm going to keep this really short for today, since I do not have much to say. I mean, I do have a lot to say. I could keep going on ramble after ramble after ramble, but I think today we shall stop it at this and be grateful that I did stop it at this much. Alright, so thank you everybody for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. It's been wonderful. I will see you again very soon. Bye bye. Jai Shri Ram.